Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in a sea of online videos, lectures, and tutorials? I mean, there's so much out there. Well, something really fundamental is starting to change in how we learn from all that content. So let's dive into this revolution, a world where your videos finally start talking back. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Platforms like YouTube are absolute gold mines of information, but all that amazing knowledge is trapped. It's buried deep inside a video's timeline, which makes it pretty much impossible to search, to question, or to connect with anything else you know. And this is what that looks like. For decades, watching an educational video has been a total one-way street. It's a passive experience, right? You hit play, you try to zone in, and you just hope that something, anything, actually sticks. But we know this kind of passive watching leads to super low engagement and even lower retention.
So this brings us to a frustration I think we can all relate to. That knowledge vault is locked. We have access to the world's greatest minds, the best lectures, but we can't efficiently get the value out of them.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're endlessly scrubbing back and forth through that little timeline, trying to find that one key formula or that one critical definition that's buried somewhere in a massive 2-hour video. It's inefficient, it's frustrating, and honestly, it's a huge barrier to real learning. But now, things are changing. We're seeing this massive shift away from that passive consumption and towards something way more powerful: active learning. This, right here, is the turning point. And you can see the contrast so clearly here. We're moving away from just passive watching, the mindless scrolling and low retention, and we're moving towards active learning. This is all about creating a two-way dialogue. When you can actually ask questions and engage with the material as you go, you develop a much, much deeper understanding. And here's what that shift actually looks like. It's amazing. Just by adding a simple chat interface, the entire experience is transformed. A monologue becomes a conversation, and you go from just being a passive viewer to an active participant in your own education. So it's really important to get this. Active learning isn't just some buzzword. It's a well-researched process. When students are actually empowered to ask questions and explore ideas on their own terms, study after study shows that learning outcomes improve dramatically. But you might be asking, how reliable is this new approach? Well, get this. A recent study on a similar AI learning assistant found that its answers were factually correct 97.6% of the time. Now, that level of accuracy is what makes this a truly powerful partner for learning. Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually have a conversation with your content? What does that even mean? It's actually beautifully simple. You just start with a link to a lecture or a tutorial. Then, as you're watching, you can ask questions directly to an AI that totally gets the video's transcript. You get instant, context-aware answers that help you build a much richer understanding than you ever could before. Now, to really take this to the next level, you can use what are being called super prompts. So instead of just asking simple questions, you can tell the AI to analyze the content in really specific ways, like make it find contradictions, or quiz you on the material, or even identify the absolute most essential questions you need to understand. This one is one of my absolute favorites. The school teacher prompt forces the AI to break down incredibly complex ideas into simple language, simple analogies. If you really want to test if you understand a topic, try explaining it to a 7th grader. This prompt does it for you. It's brilliant. Okay, this next part is where it gets really, really exciting. We're moving beyond just a single video to creating what you could almost call a personal superbrain, all through the power of synthesis. Just think about that for a second. What if that lecture you just watched could have a real conversation with 10 other lectures, a dozen research papers, and all of your own personal notes? This is the incredible power of synthesis. By loading up multiple sources, videos, documents, whatever, into one space, the AI can cross-reference everything. It can spot where one expert contradicts another, it can highlight what's missing in your research, and it can find these hidden connections between ideas that you would have never, ever seen on your own. So let's wrap this up. What's the ultimate takeaway from this whole revolution? Well, it's really all about the future of how we ask questions. Here's the most important point. These systems are evolving from just being simple productivity tools into being genuine intellectual partners. They aren't just summarizing stuff for you, they're creating this dynamic space where you can actively think with all of your source material. And that leaves us with one final Pretty fascinating question. When all of your books, your articles, and your lectures can instantly respond to you, synthesize ideas, and even challenge your assumptions, how is that going to fundamentally change the kinds of questions you even decide to ask in the first place?